Welcome back to another edition of AI Rabbit Holes. This is a video series where we go down the rabbit hole of artificial intelligence and where I like to interview some of the top minds in the space. And in this video in particular, I'm excited to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Roberts. Now, Jack, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure, bro. It's so good to be here, man.
Absolutely. Now, if you don't know who Jack Roberts is, he's the creator behind one of the fastest growing YouTube channels and communities in the AI automation space. He's built and sold a top 100 UK startup, and today he's focused on helping business owners scale with AI systems. Now, Jack, before we dive in, I just want to note that I did meet you recently in New York. I had the opportunity to go to N8N's event, which was a great experience. What was that experience like for you battling Nate Herc in this agentic arena?
Dude, it was crazy. So literally 3 weeks before this happened, I got a text message on my phone that said, "Hey, do you want to fly to New York and battle Nate Herc?" I said, What kind of battle are we talking about?" And it was the first ever AI agent off. And I'm like, I have no idea what the hell this is, but I think we've got to do it anyway. So we signed a deal, we agreed, and then literally flew out in a couple weeks' notice. And it was cool. The weirdest thing was being on stage, seeing people wearing jerseys with your name on it. Very humbling experience. Leveled up my skills a lot and prep for it, dude. It was freaking cool. It was just so good to meet people like you out there, man. Have a rock and roll good time. I cannot
Yeah,
complain.
that was an awesome experience too. I want to back up a little bit here. What was that light bulb moment for you, Jack, to kind of go all in on AI automations, create content around it, and ultimately establish yourself as kind of a thought leader in this growing space?
Yeah. So interestingly, I had an automation business that I created in 2019. So way before YouTube ever existed. Built that up to 3,000 customers a month. I sold that business. And this was before I even had a YouTube channel, before any of that sort of stuff. And whilst running that business, I obviously was really interested in automation, and AI started to pop off. And then I started making content on AI. I was just like, I think this is really interesting. This is decent. And then I found resonance, and people said, "Hey, I also think this was interesting." I remember my ex at the time, I had 17 subscribers. And she said, "Well, who cares about AI?" I said, "Well, me and I pulled up my phone. I was like, 17 subscribers disagree with you on that. I think it's really cool." And then the rest is history. And then people started watching, and it was really cool, man.
And that's awesome. And now we're seeing you in pictures with Alex Formosi. You got a top school community. So definitely a lot has changed since then. What do you think
Yeah.
your audience sees in you, Jack, that they don't find in these typical AI gurus everywhere?
Well, you'd have to ask them, but I think what I would say where I'm different is like I approach everything from a business lens. No bullshit, just straight to the point. And if it's overhyped, I'll tell you it's overhyped. And I try and focus my energy on the things that actually work. None of the kind of hype, shiny objects. We just cut through the crap and do it. And I think people would say that I make it a bit easy and simple to do, which I think is the most important thing.
Speaking of overhyped, what are your quick thoughts on OpenAI's agent builder?
Well, I mean, like if you've been anyone watching, been on LinkedIn for 2 minutes, you'll see that anytime should pack up head office, you just shut it all down. It's over. It's obviously not. I mean, it's misunderstood. I think, Brad. We just know what your thoughts on it, but it's designed to sit in the chat interface section. It's really been designed for businesses that just need a really cool agent that can speak. It's basically ChatGPT, but for business is kind of what it's doing. Is it replacing N8N and Make? 100% not. Like no chance. It's not. It's nowhere near doing that right now. And in a way, I think things like this, things like Firebase Studio, are really great ways of seeing like how it's a kind of litmus test of like have they got their pulse on what is actually working right now, what isn't.
To me, it was almost like a reminiscent of Google Opal, which if you know what Google Opal is, and that to me is kind of a bust in my opinion when they rolled that out. I haven't heard anything about Opal since then.
Where did Opal go? Where did it go?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I first dove into this agent builder, my first reaction was this is more technical than I expected. Yes, they like to say like drag and drop and this and that, but even learning N8N or make.com was way easier than trying to get into this agent builder and figuring out how does this actually move the needle in a real world business situation.
Dude, yeah, it takes a lot of complexity to make something very simple because you have to understand it very well. And there's more to automation building than having a functionality. Like when I was playing with it, you could kind of figure it out, but there's lots of and I guess like I want you to ship early, don't get me wrong. But in its current state, there are lots of non-intuitive aspects to it, like how you actually connect modules and like functionalities and stuff. So it's good in a refined sense, but unless they're going to be ruthlessly aggressive with simplifying it and making it so easy to do, you are going to struggle to compete with Make.com and N8N. Like, you've really got to be so obsessed with it. I actually think, Ryan, that one of the reasons why N8N is crushing it is because the CEO knows the product. Like, we even saw him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He literally fields questions about the product. He's like, why does it take 2 minutes? He goes, well, actually, I think it's 2 minutes and 24 seconds, actually. And the guy knows the product so freaking well, and he's obsessed with it. And I think that level of product ownership from the head of the business, because apparently he just cares about the how many people on GitHub are loving it and how good is the product, and the rest kind of gravitates around that core mission. You need that level of product care to crush it.
So if you had to predict, Jack, and I was going to ask this later on in this episode here, but do you think N8N is going to eventually kind of become that number one player in the AI automation space? I mean, they kind of are, depending on who you talk to, but there's just so many new players coming in. You got Zapier, kind of the legacy player. You got Make.com. I just look at what N8N did at that event in particular. Their community aspect and how they have all these creators behind them. I don't know how they're going to get beat in the short term, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, it's such a good question because, a year ago, you'll remember this, like, Make was the hot crap. And like, it was almost like overnight, like Make was old news. Like, it
Integromat.
was
Yeah.
Integromat. Yeah, it was Integromat actually when we were using Zapier. So I think you cannot deny that N8N is the top right now. But things change so quickly in this space. Like, almost every 3 months, the whole thing inverts on itself. So Make.com to come back, the issue I've got with Make.com right now, and I love the platform, and it hurts me to say this, but they need to. It's like, when I spoke to their head of it, I said, look, can you add a code node into Make.com? Can you add like a set, like, which is, to me, it's like this, a few basic things that they could add that would radically improve it. Like, but it's like getting it, but also iterating very quickly. And it's like, if you look at all the games consoles, right, PS5, Xbox, the controllers all are kind of the same controller with minor differences, because there is a best operating procedure for workflow builders. And I think Make's got to move in that direction. So, and Nintendo's number one, but it's not guaranteed to be that way forever, man. No.
Yeah, I think where it might start going, Jack, honestly, I look at the Lindy AIs of the world and how they've made the process of building AI agents easier for a small business owner who doesn't know anything about this at all. So I could see it shifting more towards the Lindy AI side of things, but that is also way more expensive than self-hosting N8N and figuring that part out.
Yeah, it's almost like N8N will eventually become a platform for the tinkerers, a platform for somebody who wants that like granular level control. You are going to get, Lindy AI, for example. The problem I think Lindy AI answers is, what are 80% of the things that you would use N8N for? And instead of buying individual Lego pieces, we're just going to pre-deliver to you pre-built scenarios that do their thing and try and make it really simple. They really target that business owner that knows he needs to do something, but maybe doesn't have the time nor inclination to learn how to workflow build.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to shift gears a little bit. We can dive into the rabbit hole of automation stuff later on, but I want to talk about your YouTube growth here a little bit and talk about how not only have you grown this channel to the numbers that it is, but I think more impressively, you've built a serious business on the back end with your school community and all the other stuff you have going on. How are you able to convert all of this top of funnel attention from platforms like YouTube into actual dollars?
Yeah, so the funnel is very simple. The funnel is basically, you create YouTube content and then you solve a problem that people care about. And then you have a product that people can engage with that solves that problem in more detail.
Yeah, that was very well. That's very well explained.
Yeah. And here's the thing though, as well, is like, it evolves over time and you have to pivot over time as things change. But the fundamental mechanics of that funnel work. Yeah, the funnel just works like that.
I got to ask too, because some people are probably wondering this. What is it like meeting Hormozi and having him roast your YouTube channel and school community and funnels and all that?
Dude, it was cool. I loved it. It was very surreal, actually, bro. I was like, I actually can't believe this is happening at the time. I was like, I just saw this like heavily muscled, long haired dude. And I was like, it was wild because I've like followed him on YouTube since he was like early. So that was really surreal to see him and be like, damn, man, this is like, It just all happened so quick, dude. Like I blew up with it really quickly. I mean, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because it's almost like it happens overnight, but like preceded by 7 years of like thankless work that no one ever like sees or thinks about. But then when it blew up, it just happened super quick, and it was really cool to see Alex, and he's exactly the same in real life as he was in person. And then roasting the community was cool. That actually did 2 hours before. It's like, can you be on a call in 2 hours? I was like, yes, I can, 100%, definitely.
Yeah. And I'll leave that roast in the description below. That was cool. I think I watched that at the gym one time. So let me ask you this, Jack. If you could go back in time, what would you do differently to grow your YouTube channel and community even faster than you already did?
So if I were to restart today, my community today, and I wanted to speed run to say 20K a month, I would pick something very niche. First of all, I would find a niche audience that have money and have a problem. And then I would build a community that ruthlessly centers on solving that problem. And given the fact that the AI automation space has evolved somewhat, we're now in the era of specialization where it is more advantageous to be known for a thing than it is to be general. So I think be known as the WhatsApp systems guy, be known as the voice agent guy, have your niche, have your corner of the world, and just dominate it. Do the Beanie Baby strategy. For those that aren't familiar, the way that PayPal launched, they only did eBay and they only did Beanie Baby sellers, because you need seller and buyer transactions. And they
Right.
crushed that monopoly. And the idea is you dominate the micro monopoly and then you kind of slowly expand over time. So that would be how I would do it if I was starting again.
I completely agree with that. There's just too much broad stuff going on with AI and automations right now that it's A, it's hard to stand out, and B, you're just going to attract a top of funnel audience that isn't necessarily, have the intent to buy from you or, other things like that. But let's say someone's new to your ecosystem, Jack. What advice would you have for someone who says, "Hey Jack, what's the best way to make money right now with AI automations?" I'm sure you've gotten that question probably every day at this point.
I have, yeah. And I'm actually doing a video on this literally tomorrow, ironically. So the game of making money with AI automations has changed. So 1 year ago, the knowledge level of building your own workflows is pretty low. So I could connect Gmail to Airtable and everyone would be shocked and like, oh my gosh, can't believe it. In fact, I built a business doing stuff like that. Now, the level of education, the awareness of building it is such that the workflow building itself has become commoditized in a large sense. And this happens across everything. We have this technological shift, these tools have made it more accessible, and it's out there in the ether. Businesses will still pay for this, obviously, but generally speaking, what you're seeing a slight trend of now is businesses saying, and I'll give you a good example of this. There was a client that we built a $25,000 dashboard for, like incredible dashboard. And their comment was, awesome. How can I find a cheap outsourced do-it-yourself builder with 2 weeks experience that can just kind of do this and run in the background? There's a trend now of people wanting to just hire internal builders rather than pay, because you've got to think about it, right? If you got the decision of a 10,000 per month retainer or a $2,000 per month hire someone and do it, of course you're going for that. So there's a general awareness thing now, which means that the highest degree of leverage actually sits with strategy, weirdly enough. Like it's actually understanding the strategic value behind it. But if you're a beginner and you've not got your first sale yet, you have to do what I call the any means necessary strategy, which is get some experience, do something for free in exchange for testimonial to get started. And then the rest, you're going to start learning on and leveraging your business experience.
Yeah, I just listened to a video from Mark Kashif. I actually met him at the N8N event. He's another big YouTuber. He was talking about that exact same thing you just did about strategy, because everything is becoming a race to the bottom now and commoditized, where you can just vibe code something and do this. But it's like, if you understand what is the real world business application of what I'm building, how is it going to move the needle, and be able to explain that to key stakeholders, that is how you set yourself apart going forward in this environment.
It is very well said, bro. Very, very well said. You need to be known for something. And if it's on YouTube, it's like, true YouTube growth and scale, and it's not even necessarily views and subscribers, but it's like momentum you want comes when the same person would watch every one of your videos. Like if you did 5 or 6 videos and the same person would watch all 6 of them, you have this compounding goodwill value in that individual. But if you're switching it out, like a video of 3 or 4, you lose that momentum. And all of a sudden, they're not interested in that. So it is about being niche. It is about getting the business experience. But here's the great news. The great news is that most people are lazy. The great news is that most people don't do the basics, and most people do not bother. So if you just do the do and the ABCs of sort of growing your business, you will crush it 100%.
I love that. Not only people are lazy, Jack, people confuse with AI slop outputs with outputs that actually move the needle. I've noticed that trend quite a bit too, where it's like, look at this shiny UGC AI tool or this vibe coded SaaS tool, but it's like, how did that
Crazy.
actually convert to anything? It's just, it's
Did
all
nothing.
shiny.
It
Yeah.
did nothing. It's like there's so much tech, bro, that comes out, and I know like your channel very high integrity. You get the same thing, and everyone's like, you as a creator, you have this thing. Do you want to do the thing that gets clicks or things add value? And I've done so much research on crap. I'm like, this is just garbage. This is absolute ass. Like, there's no way I'm doing a video on this. And then I click on YouTube, and now it's like shaking up. It's literally questioning the foundations upon which we stand, apparently. And it's like, no, it isn't. It doesn't even work. So it's like it's just slop. It's just garbage. It's all designed to get clicks. I even had in my there was a WhatsApp chat in the group like how many of these videos you're going to see, and like clockwork. Like we saw the NA10 is dead.
Oh,
Wave
yeah.
take over LinkedIn. It was like, oh my gosh, dude. And on LinkedIn, they have this like it's like node prawn, where it's like the more nodes on the screen, the bigger and more epic the thing is. Like, oh my gosh, like this runs my life while I'm on the
Make
beach.
sure
It's
you
like,
comment below though to get the free template.
of course, dude, you got to drop a comment to get a free template. Yeah, and it's a funny strategy, man. But it's funny. It's like why we're big believers in simplicity over complexity. It doesn't need to be big and complicated.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. And on the podcast form I sent over before you agreed to do this with me here, you said that business owners should focus more on AI systems versus just AI automations. What is the difference between those? And can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So, a system, if you so an automation is a scenario that solves a really specific thing, but a system is like it can be a combination of multiple automations that solves a business problem. So when we say AI system or like a system that solves a business problem, we have a really clear set of defined inputs, a clear set of a defined output, and the system is the kind of infrastructure that connects the two things together. That could be a front end, a back end, a database, storage, multiple different scenarios, but it exists and remains in the business. In other words, it's people replace automations, they don't replace systems. Systems sort of run for the business in the background.
Yeah, I love that explanation. Just what's a real world example of just some AI system that a business could implement right now?
Okay, so what, like on lead generation or
Yeah,
just like
lead
running the
gen. Let's do
business?
lead gen.
Okay, so a good example of a lead gen could be something like, let's say that we have a dashboard that displays all of the key metrics for your business, right? We have YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so we have top level data. And then what we could do is have a series of scraping agents that scrape your competitors on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn. It would do real-time analysis on how your videos and content is performing, thumbnail analysis, script analysis. It would scrape all the comments. It would give you dynamic suggestions based on that stuff and give you ideas to create videos as well as the transcripts and stuff. So not only do I get the full data set live, it then is also then influencing and able me to create better content. It would also create content for written, like LinkedIn, X, stuff like that. So that'd be an example of a system that encompasses many, like a kind of like panoply of mini automations in one thing designed to help me grow on social media and get buyers, basically.
Yeah, that was very well explained too. And you've been clear that most businesses aren't using AI properly. So, what would you say is kind of holding back most of these businesses from implementing AI systems, and how should they avoid all this noise everywhere?
Oh, dude, well, it's shiny object syndrome is the problem that a lot of businesses have. They're too busy jumping from thing to thing and also inexperience. So when I applied 2 years ago, every CEO had to answer the question, what is our AI strategy? And they didn't know. They just threw a load of money at something, a chatbot, and it just never got the results they wanted to. So they've been burnt. They don't really know what they're doing. Most of the people selling the thing also don't really know what it is that they're doing anyway. So you need to get a level of education as a business owner about what AI is and what it can do. I call it understanding the map. And then when you've got that, then you can actually just focus on one thing and solve that with AI. And then you gradually go through your system upgrading it, your business upgrading the systems. That's basically as simple as it is.
Yeah, in my world of marketing, I've seen lately a lot of the AEO, GEO experts floating around all over LinkedIn saying SEO is dead with these rage bait hooks, triggering the SEO community. It gets a ton of engagement. And then all these clueless executives are like, oh shit, GEO, AEO, I need to hire these people, and SEO is dead. And they just chase all these object after object that ends up going nowhere besides just wasted time and resources.
Yeah, it's true, Ryan. Because also like polarized content gets clicks. Like the real game is you should be creating something that sounds like it needs to be clicked on, but is also very true. But most people are lazy, so they just say things that just are not true to get clicks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole rage
that's
bait
like
thing for sure.
it's a rage
So a
bait.
lot of
Yeah.
people, Jack, they hear the word automation and they just think about, oh, save time. They correlate automation to save time. But beyond just efficiency, what are some revenue driven tasks that you think should be automated? We talked about lead gen. What are some other examples just quickly?
Of like revenue generating tasks.
Yeah.
Well, it drastically depends on the business about where you are currently generating most of your income. The biggest mistake I see people make is they automate something that should just quite simply not exist. And that often happens when you let someone loose on Make or Anytime for the first time. They start trying to automate everything. So it really depends on the business. Like, what is the biggest revenue driver for you right now? And like, where are the missed opportunities? I'm gonna give you a good example of this, okay? We talk about LAPS, which is leads, appointments, presentation, sales. Daniel Priestley champions this model quite a lot. And the idea is we look at what your bottleneck is. So for example, if we have high leads, but none of them are booking appointments, okay, then we need to build some kind of system in there that actually makes that possible. Or if they're booking an appointment but they're not turning up to the actual sales meeting, then we need to build follow-up sequences to make sure that we're actually maximizing the follow-through. So it really depends what the bottleneck is, but you want to kind of understand that bottleneck first, which is a business problem, not an AI problem, and then build systems to support that.
I love that. And a lot of people don't like to shine light on reality in this space too. And they just say, you should have an AI agent for this and an AI automation for that. It's like, well, I'll be honest with you, Jack, some things don't deserve either of those. I mean, let's talk about high ticket sales. When you're trying to close something in a high ticket sales situation, good luck using an AI agent or an automation to get someone to sign a $50,000 to $100,000 plus deal with you if it's not personal face to face. That's what I've seen in the real world. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, dude, AI agents are running entire businesses now, dude. You can
Yeah,
relax,
from the
Ryan.
beach
You can
too. Yeah.
retire. You can
Yeah.
retire, bro. No, it's exactly the same. It's like they're not. It's like, dude, the lack of authenticity in this space is crazy. It really is wild to me. I mean, it's so wild that I'm even turning the light off when I'm talking about it.
It's all good, man. This is how authentic we are right here. We don't have the editing and the lighting, and we just kind of rip.
Dude, that's it, man. I came off script a little bit there, man. My pre-programmed script. Yeah, it's like the lack of authenticity in space is crazy, to be honest with you, man. About what AI can do. I even saw an ad recently that said that I have a team of 9 agents that run my business, and he was like on the beach. We were like, no, you don't. Like you really don't. So I think what resonates with people now is being ruthlessly transparent on what it can do and what it can't do. I think being the voice of clarity and reason is important, and it's a lot. I mean, it's one of the reasons why, like on Instagram, dude. Like, I don't know if you're on Instagram or not, but if you want to get 100,000 followers very quickly on Instagram, you should cover new tools every day. That's like the strategy, and you do it in a consistent format, and people will go for that. But the thing is, I don't think it's that valuable, to be honest.
I
Don't
don't
think.
either. That's the Julian
Yeah.
Goldie spray and pray approach. I hate to throw a name out there, but he has 5 videos a day on every new update, new tool with his clone and his team editing B-roll in the background. I'm like, dude, I respect this guy's systems, but it's a net negative for society because anyone who consumes that is not actually achieving anything.
Yeah, well, Julian is an excellent example of someone who is, but he's going to the max with it. Like this guy, how many videos does this guy put out every?
It's at least
week?
3, 4, 5 a day. Last time I checked.
It's massive. It is crazy, very insane, you might say. So, yeah, I mean, it's like people go for it and do and adopt that kind of strategy, but it's like at the expense of what, though? Do you know what I mean? You can get the click, but then what? Like, how do you turn that into long form thing? I mean, to some extent, I guess views are king, but I don't know. My personal, where I come down at, dude, is that like, I think that I put high value on trust and credibility. I think if you were trying to maximize like the benefit of your audience, you have to take short-term L's and say, guys, I don't think this is big, or I'm just not making content on it. You know.
It's also just not fulfilling to me to just take that route of just do every clickbait thing possible. Like, I would rather make less money knowing that I'm helping people and I'm fulfilled inside versus just trying to chase every shiny thing and lead people down a wrong path. That's just me.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with that, dude. Like, you got to sleep at night, and it's like it must be exhausting. Yeah,
For
because
sure.
the problem is, if you're a news channel, you're only as good as your latest piece of news. You're never actually building any like value in your audience. That's the problem with it.
Yeah, and if you slip, people are going to stop following you. They're going to follow someone else who covers things, and it's just a race to the bottom, especially with Sora 2 now, and we can do AI news. I mean, the whole AI generated video space too. We won't get into that in this episode, but that's destroying all those types of content creators.
Yeah, it's blowing up significantly. Yeah, it's really blowing up.
For sure. So, Jack, before I get into the rapid fire questions here, if you were to start a business from scratch today, what AI systems and tools would you put in place to grow as fast as you could without hiring an employee?
Okay, good question. Well, I am starting a business from scratch today. It's called Glider. It's text to speech, and the reason I've done that is because if you don't know, like voice dictation, like it's the only piece of software I've ever downloaded that's actually just saved me an hour a day instantaneously.
Like Whisper Flow.
Yeah, so Whisper Flow will be toast when this is
I'd love to hear it.
It's in private beta at the moment. You can't even access it because I've got a wait list. But what was funny is like we wanted to build this because we were like, honestly, Brian, like every video I made, there was a comment on what is that thing. So I just give you that background to say like I'm building it right now. And dude, we haven't used a single automation for this yet. Not a single automation because we haven't had to. It's not been relevant. What's been relevant is building the tech, making it epic, and getting feedback from users. There's not been a single time we've ever actually used an automation. The first place we'll do that will be email sequences when we start, and then when we start to grow out and build stuff. But honestly, dude, there's not been a single automation that we would use yet. To give you an honest example of, we're building it first of all to 1,000 paying users, and I'll tell you the first time we use it. But as of right now, bro, in our first 20 users, we've not used a single one.
That's awesome. And that's a cool observation you just enlightened on there, where you saw a bunch of comments and people saying things and you took action on that and actually I'm assuming you just vibe coded a SaaS. I don't know what your systems were behind that.
Yeah, no, we hired some developers to build it. Yeah, we hired some developers to build it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's jump into the rapid fire AI questions here, Jack, before we kind of end this thing out here. So what's your boldest AI prediction for AI automations in the next 6 to 12 months? I know we just saw something big from OpenAI, but if you just had one big, bold prediction, what would it be?
My biggest prediction will be that within 12 months, the number of people building scenarios will be really high. And I think that it will only get simpler and more frictionless to do. So I think we are going to fully commoditize the building of workflows. That's what I believe. I mean, it's already starting to get commoditized. I think that the entire thing will be so freaking simple and easy to do.
I agree. And if I had to kind of piggyback off that, I think we're going to see more Lindy AIs in the world that make this process even similar, because the average person who sees 100 node N8N automation, they're going to be too overwhelmed to even get started there. So that's my hot take.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, bro. Yeah.
All right, let's continue down this list here. So N8N or make.com?
The moment would be N8N.
Yeah, and why is that? Let's elaborate a little bit.
Because it's got more user-friendly features in. Like you can see what the agent's doing with it. It's more configurable. Even though Make's got more connections, I think there's just some, I guess, like housekeeping stuff it does well, like the set nodes, and pains me to say, but yeah, it's like, because I love both platforms. I use both platforms, but if I had to say, N8N is just, I think, made things easier to build now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about one automation that you use every single day that might surprise people.
That might surprise people. Okay, that's an interesting twist. Probably my email segmenter automation, because it not only like categorizes all my emails, but creates like a draft response. So my time of drafting emails is effectively 0 now. So I can just hit send and go.
Yeah, that's definitely a useful one. AI agents, overhyped or underutilized right now?
Overhyped.
Completely agree. What's the most overrated automation best practice that you see people chasing?
Overrated automation best practice?
Like a best practice of building automations.
That's overrated?
Yeah.
Yeah. The most overrated agent best practice is this obsession with brand new models that Claude 4.6 versus 4.5. It's crazy. Don't waste your time on it.
I agree. There's such minimal difference there between actually understanding the strategy behind what it's accomplishing in the big picture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
All right, last one for you, Jack. Will traditional automation skills eventually become obsolete?
The building of automations will become obsolete, but the skills used to build the automations will just be repurposed for something else. In other words, like I don't need to wring clothes out like this anymore, but the ability to put it in the washing machine is going to be handy. So that might be a bad analogy, but yeah, I mean, at some point, this is what we have to do is look at the direction of travel and make sensible bets. The direction of travel is such that no-code workflow builders are getting more popular because it is genuinely adding more value to businesses. The process of building no-code flows is also getting easier over time. And at some point, it will just keep macroing up until it's just incredibly easy touch and go, just like any other industry.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had for you, Jack. Appreciate your time. And you're definitely one of the top AI voices that I follow just on YouTube and everywhere else. I am a member of your community, and I will leave a link to that in the description below. But Jack, where's the best place for people to follow you online to learn more about what you're doing?
YouTube is a great place. And you can find me on LinkedIn if you like. I'd say YouTube's a good place to hang out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'll leave all those links in the description. Jack, thank you so much again. And thank you to everyone for listening or watching to this edition of AI Rabbit Holes. Be sure to tune in again next time.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. It was a pleasure.